Today you will learn about the rarest mental illnesses, the symptoms of these people. For example, in an irresistible desire to amputate any limb for oneself, some are firmly convinced that they have died and are decomposing. I will also tell you how a woman who underwent coronavirus in a severe stage stopped talking. You will also learn about a pensioner who had a stroke, and as she recovered she said that her left hand did not belong to her. 1. Cotard Syndrome. This condition makes people think they are dead. Henry Bishop. He was a 65-year-old retired teacher, had no family history of mental illness, and he himself never complained about his state of mind. In the fall, 2 years after retirement, when he suddenly began to have a suppressed enduring mood, he stopped feeling the usual pleasures, slept and ate less, he felt worthless. All this turned into severe depression. Later, at a reception with a psychotherapist, he said that he felt that his internal organs had stopped working and the house in which he lived was about to collapse. 3 months after his failed suicide attempt, he began to believe that he was dead. This man suffered from a condition known as Cotard Syndrome, or walking corpse syndrome, in which the patient thinks he or she is dead. Ironically, in over half of the cases, these patients also think they are mortal. Treatment for the condition may include antidepressants or antipsychotic drugs, or electroconvulsive therapy. Two. Mirror touch synesthesia. This disorder makes people feel the same as others. In episodes of NPR Invisibilia, a woman who wished to remain anonymous reported that when she sees people being hugged, she feels like she is hugging. When she sees that someone is in pain, she feels pain where they are. And she cannot watch people eat, because it seems to her that they are stuffing food into her mouth. She suffers from a rare condition called mirror touch synesthesia, which allows her to physically feel what others are feeling. The pathology occurs once in 8 million. Although it was born like this, other people have acquired this disease or even the ability after a stroke, serious head injuries or amputation of a limb, which can cause sensations in a phantom limb. This is when a leg that has been with you for 30 years, after amputation continues to feel phantom. The first case of this condition was reported in 2005 and there have been only a few reports since then. But there is a disease in which one's own healthy limb is felt opposite to an alien one, with an indelible desire to get rid of it.
Ecco.
Four. Half-dimensional neglect. This condition makes half of your world invisible. After a stroke, some people may start to ignore half of their world. This is a very specific neuropsychological disorder. For example, one of these patients may not eat half of the food on her plate even though she is still hungry. Or she can draw a dial that shows only the numbers from 12 to 6. This sounds extremely ridiculous for a healthy person, but despite all, such patients simply cannot do anything with themselves. Patient, a woman, undetected, suffered from a condition known as hemisphere neglect. which occurs when damage to one hemisphere of the brain causes a person to lose awareness of one side of the space around him. The person can no longer see or process information received from this side of the body or environment, often from the side opposite to the brain injury. The disease occurs once in 20 million. 5. Fantasy. People with this condition cannot imagine things. A 65-year-old man named Fabiano Moretti suddenly lost the ability to conjure up images of things in his head after coronary angioplasty surgery. It was an ordinary operation on the arteries of the heart. The patient suffered from high cholesterol, and the plaque formed in the heart vessel had to be removed. After the operation, in the questionnaire for post-operative patients, he said that he could not visualize any images, despite the fact that he usually performed standard tests of perception, visual images and visual memory. After the researchers reported this, more than 20 people contacted them to say they had the same inability to imagine things in their imaginations. Although this is not yet a recognized neurological disease, scientists have eloquently dubbed this phenomenon aphantasia, from the Greek word for imagination. These people simply cannot imagine a table, chair or pencil in their heads, or anything else. The disease occurs once in 50 million cases. 6. Jerusalem Syndrome. Some people have religious illusions when they visit the Holy City. Adolf Zimmermann, an absolutely healthy German artist and designer by profession, after the death of his mother, plunged into the study of religion. He learned many religions, but could not find peace anywhere. Then he gathered and came with his wife to Jerusalem to learn Judaism in search of the only true religion, but he ended up having a psychotic episode at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, a church built on the site where Jesus is believed to have been crucified and buried. According to researchers, this person may have suffered from the Jerusalem Syndrome, a phenomenon in which religious delusions and psychotic ideas develop in visitors to the Holy City. In 2000, Israeli psychiatrists reported that between 1980 and 1993, 1,200 tourists were admitted to the Kfar Shal City Mental Health Center with severe mental problems caused by Jerusalem. But others criticized the study because it didn't mention anything about who is at risk for the disease and how to prevent it. However, Adolf developed a megalomaniac in which he still claims to have divine and prophetic powers, and is also the embodiment of the biblical hero, who is entrusted with a prophetic mission to save the world. 7. Exploding head syndrome. This disorder makes people hear explosions in their heads. A 57-year-old Indian man went to doctors with complaints that he was awakened from sleep 4 times in the past 2 years with a blinking sound on the right side of his head, which he described as explosions in my head. This is actually a real condition known as exploding head syndrome. People with this rare problem perceive a loud bang, like a bomb, gunshot, or other deafening noise that seems to be coming from their head. But it does not cause pain, swelling or other physical discomfort. Experts don't know what causes this, but stress and hyperfatigue seem to play a role. It is not known how common the condition is, but some research suggests it may be common among college students. 8. Foreign accent syndrome. A stroke can cause some people to speak with a foreign accent. A 39-year-old Irish woman, who flew to her native Dublin after a short business trip, already felt unwell on the plane. The next morning she became worse and received positive results of mandatory tests for the citizens who arrived. The woman's condition deteriorated sharply. She was hospitalized. Her condition was assessed how difficult. The girl miraculously survived, but after removing the ventilator, the lady lost the ability to speak. Drum pause. After a long period of restorative therapy, the woman began to speak, but after recovering, she began to speak with a French accent. She never learned French or spoke to native speakers, and English English was her only language. The woman was diagnosed with foreign accent syndrome, a rare speech disorder commonly caused by a stroke. But there have also been reports that it occurs as a result of trauma or mental illness, or even develops spontaneously. Between 1941 and 2009, 62 cases of this disorder were reported. And that's all. See you next Saturday, and take care of your mental health.